Disclaimer. Please forgive me now for there may be mispronunciations in this video. With St. Patrick's Day being this month, I thought it only appropriate to talk about Irish legends. And who is more known, especially on St. Patrick's Day, than the leprechaun? The word leprechaun derives from the Old Irish luchracan, which means little body. It is also derived from the Gaelic words leith brog, or one shoemaker. It is stereotypical to imagine the leprechaun evolving lucky charms in pots of gold. But the true leprechauns are members of the fairy folk, a type of Shia. Sometimes they are referred to as elves. He takes on the form of a tiny old man with a cocked hat and a leather apron. Before the 20th century, the leprechaun was said to wear red, not green. Samuel Lover wrote in 1831 describing the leprechaun as quite a bay in his dress, notwithstanding, for he wears a red square-cut coat richly laced with gold, and inexpensive of the same, cocked hat, shoes, and buckles. In the poem entitled The Leprechaun or Fairy Shoemaker, the 18th century Irish poet William Allingham also describes the appearance of the leprechaun as a wrinkled, wizened, and bearded elf, spectacles stuck on his pointed nose, silver buckles to his hose, leather apron, shoe in his lap. The modern image of the leprechaun sitting on a toadstool, dressed in green with a red beard, is more of a modern invention, maybe even borrowed from other stands of European folklore. The most likely explanation, though, is that the leprechaun's appearance is green due to it being the national Irish color dating back as far as 1642. The hat might be derived from the style that was common in Ireland in the 19th century. The style of fashion was commonly worn by Irish immigrants that arrived in the United States. Typically, he is solitary in nature, preferring to live alone in remote places to make shoes. He is a cobbler at heart, and is the only professional fairy, while other fairies are out dancing and reveling. He is always working on only one shoe rather than a pair, which may be a shamanic reference. References to shoes, especially only one shoe, are often oblique references to shamanism. Ancient shamanic dances were often performed with one shoe on and one shoe off, or featured dance steps that mimic limping, a quote from the Encyclopedia of Spirits. It is odd, though, in a realm dominated by females, leprechauns are virtually exclusively male spirits. The leprechaun is said to be wealth, burying his treasure in pots, and is a skillful but not always nice practical joker. If captured and threatened with violence, he may reveal his goat's hiding place. However, most times the captor is usually glancing away and the fairy vanishes. It is thought that leprechauns may or may not be the same type of fairy as clericons. If they are not, they must be closely related. Like leprechauns, clericons are typically male. Some believe that clericons may be the nocturnal form of the leprechaun, out on a bender after a hard day's work. But unlike the hard-working and gold-collecting leprechauns, clericons spend all their time drinking. Even when they are drunk, they allegedly retain their good manners. At night, they come out to drink, party, and play pranks on people. And in the olden days, they were butter thieves. He does have an occupation, though, and that is to be the guardian of wine and liquor cellars. The clericon will protect your cellar from thieves and apparently prevent wine from spoiling or bottles from breaking or leaking. All you have to do is request his presence and leave him a sample of whatever you have in stock. Leave him offerings on a regular basis lest he decide to begin serving himself. The first recorded reference to leprechauns comes in the 8th century story, The Death of Fergus MacLeety, where the original leprechaun are water spirits. Fergus MacLeety, the king of Ulster, captured while sleeping by water spirits, the leprechaun. He awoken by the cold water they tried to carry him into. He captured 3 of the leprechauns and demanded that the sprites grant him 3 wishes: the ability to breathe underwater, in seas, pools, and lakes. They granted him his wish in the form of enchanted earplugs and a tunic to wear around his head. But like most wishes done by the fair folk, it came with a limitation. Fergus was not allowed to use his gifts at Loch Rugreg in his own land of Ulster. Fergus doesn't heed their warning and swims underwater at Loch Rugreg, and there he encounters the Myuuji, a huge mysterious creature that can inflate and deflate. It has features of a thorn bush, with branches and strings, and its appearance alone is deadly. Fergus is horribly disfigured after seeing this creature, with his mouth moving to the back of his head. His courtiers are dismayed because a man with a blemish cannot be king, but they still keep this defacement a secret from Fergus for 7 years. They prevent him from looking into mirrors and surround him with people who will protect the king's deformity. He does end up finding out though, only when Dorn, a high-born slave, taunts him about it after he strikes her with a whip. Fergus decides it's time to face his nemesis. There was a battle between Fergus and the Myuuji, which lasts a day and a night. Finally, Fergus slays the creature with his bare hands and walks out of the loch holding its head only to collapse and die from the ordeal. And that's the end of the story. However, leprechaunism is now a term for Donohoe syndrome, a rare genetic disorder characterized by delayed or diminished growth and facial features are perceived as elven. What do you think of the leprechaun? Did you like this video? Want to support this channel and get early access? Feel free to check out my Patreon page where I create content on cryptids, hauntings, alien abductions, serial killers, and much more. If you can't support me there, like, comment, and subscribe here. And please forgive me if my voice sounds a little bit strained. I am very sick and I decided to do this voice over anyways. So I hope you guys enjoyed.